Hello everyone. Today's story is truly extraordinary. As I organize the details and analyze everything, it helps me clear my mind. At the same time, I can't help but feel compassion for those involved. After completing each section, I like to pause and imagine myself in the victim's shoes, considering what I would do next if I were in their position. I've encountered many unusual stories about Bigfoot, but this one genuinely gave me chills. So on the morning of September 2nd, 2010, Jonathan Jet, age 34, along with his 25-year-old girlfriend Rachel Bagnoor, set out for a trip to the mountains near Pemberton in British Columbia, Canada. Their plan was a 3-day adventure through the wilderness, starting at Mount Mateel and covering about 26 kilometers to Valentine Lake. After their excursion, Rachel intended to volunteer at a children's welfare center, while Jonathan was expected to head back to the United States. However, after they entered Mount Mateel on September 4th, they vanished without a trace. Authorities later discovered their Toyota sedan, which contained Jonathan's phone and camera. Records showed they had stayed overnight at a hotel in Pemberton on September 3rd. Early on September 4th, around 7:45 in the morning, they left for their camping spot. Once there, Jonathan parked the car along a forest trail at the base of Mount Mateel, about 1.2 kilometers from a nearby service station. From that point, it would have taken approximately 5 hours of hiking to reach the mountain summit. Rachel's sister, Elizabeth, became concerned when she didn't hear from Rachel that evening, which was uncharacteristic. She tried calling her sister, but received no response. By September 6th, Elizabeth reported Rachel missing to the police, prompting an immediate search. The investigators quickly found Jonathan's car parked on a small trail at the mountain's foot. Inside the vehicle, they retrieved Jonathan's phone and camera, but no sign of the couple. The phone records revealed no calls after the morning of September 4th. Although there were some work-related messages, they did not assist in solving the case. Next, investigators examined the footage from the camera. It contained numerous nature photographs, but 2 images stood out. One depicted a damaged tree, raising more questions than answers and deepening the mystery. Another photo, taken from afar, showed a bear that seemed to be following them. Additionally, 2 video clips were discovered on the camera. The first was recorded on the night of September 3rd at the hotel in Pemberton. In this footage, a humanoid figure appears near the window, lingering for several minutes before attempting to open it. The creature's features are hard to identify, but it appears to have unusually large hands. The hotel owner later confirmed this and provided another video showing Jonathan calling the police. She stated that when authorities arrived, no suspicious individuals or wild animals could be found.
Informed that you will likely be making entries back to where you saw.
Due to the remote location, only Jonathan and Rachel stayed at the inn that night. Interestingly, 12 years later, in 2022, the innkeeper also disappeared and remains missing. Regarding the second video, more details will be revealed later. On September 6th, the search efforts commenced, involving 3 helicopters conducting over 50 flights over Mount Martel and nearby valleys. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, along with volunteers, searched forests, valleys, and caves, but found no trace of Jonathan or Rachel. The official search concluded in October of that year. Later, a hat thought to belong to Rachel was found, but was eventually identified as belonging to another hiker. During the search, some suspicious humanoid footprints were discovered. RCMP officer Steve Clare speculated that the couple might have become lost and trapped somewhere on the mountain. The weather around Mount Martel in September is humid, with frequent thick fog that hampers rescue efforts. Volunteers often slipped while climbing. The couple was experienced in hiking. Jonathan went climbing weekly and held a certification, while Rachel had been hiking since childhood with her parents. The park manager noted that the mountain rarely sees visitors, especially at night when temperatures drop sharply and fog is common. The terrain is easy to get lost in, especially for inexperienced hikers. Despite a 10-day search involving over 2,000 hours, no evidence of Jonathan or Rachel was uncovered. Later, their families hired professional mountaineers to continue the search, suspecting they may have fallen off a cliff into a crevasse, but no results were found. Mount Martel, situated in Joffre Lakes Provincial Park, stands at 2,783 meters and features rolling alpine meadows, in dense, largely undeveloped forests that can easily disorient hikers. Visitors usually climb during the day and descend before night to avoid cold and dangerous conditions. Climbing gear such as ropes, crampons, and ice axes are essential. According to their purchase records, Jonathan and Rachel planned to camp overnight. Jonathan bought a light green 2-person tent, while Rachel purchased 2 blue down sleeping bags, along with canned food, steak, a folding knife, and bear spray. Based on available information, several main theories about the case include: 1. Animal attack. Some suggest the couple was attacked by wildlife. However, this is unlikely since Mount Martell is home to black bears and cougars. But attacks are rare. In the past 5 years, only 3 animal attacks have been reported in British Columbia, and no one has been killed by a bear in the park's history. Black bears tend to be indifferent to humans, and even if an attack occurred, the couple had bear spray and a knife, making it improbable they were both killed by animals. Jonathan, who was tall and physically fit, was well versed in outdoor survival, likely knowing how to handle wildlife encounters. 2. Getting lost or falling. Another possibility is that they became lost or accidentally fell into a valley. While plausible, there's little evidence supporting this. Their camera and phone were found in their car, with the latest photos dated September 4th, indicating they had reached their destination, explored, and then returned to the vehicle before disappearing again. It was unusual for experienced hikers to leave behind such essential items like their camera and phone, suggesting they may have left suddenly under unexpected circumstances. Bigfoot encounter. The third theory suggests that the couple was attacked by Bigfoot. This idea arises from another video discovered on their camera. In it, the couple is seen venturing deep into the remote forest. As they scan their surroundings, Jonathan appears to realize they are being watched by an unknown creature. The sounds of branches cracking and an unfamiliar whistling follow their movements. When the camera shifts, Jonathan spots a large, dark figure staring directly at him. Although it remains still, its broad and formidable build is unmistakable. Bigfoot researcher Tom Powell once stated that Bigfoot will always notice you before you notice it. In regions where Bigfoot sightings are common, birds tend to be unusually active, as if they're warning each other of impending danger. If humans linger, Bigfoot might use intimidation tactics like whistling, breaking branches, or throwing rocks to scare them away. In extreme cases, it could attack if someone mistakenly intrudes on its territory, which is highly dangerous. Another clue comes from Kavit, a seasoned tracker on the search team. While guiding a rescue dog through the forest, the dog suddenly trembled and refused to move forward, indicating it sensed danger nearby. This detail adds to the theory. The footage from Jonathan's camera might not be directly linked, as the figure in the first video could have been a vagrant or thief, while the events in the second might be connected to their disappearance. Historically, if Bigfoot targets someone, it tends to shadow them down the mountain. Bigfoot is believed to live in groups, so Jonathan and Rachel might have been surrounded. If they panicked and got separated, the situation could have turned deadly. The last recorded stomp on Jonathan's camera was on September 4th. When police found their Toyota, his camera and phone were still inside. This suggests Jonathan returned to the vehicle at some point, but questions remain. Why did he leave the items in the car and then go back? Why didn't they just drive away immediately? One theory is that they became separated while fleeing downhill. Jonathan might have reached the car first, hurriedly unloaded some belongings, and then realized Rachel was missing. Panicked, he might have gone back to search for her and then disappeared into the mist. However, this remains speculation. The mystery surrounding Jonathan and Rachel's disappearance has yet to be solved. No clues, sightings, or remains have ever been found, as if they vanished into thin air. Their families, who knew Jonathan and Rachel were planning to marry soon after the trip, still hope for answers. Rachel, a medical student known for her kindness and compassion, volunteered in underprivileged communities in Colombia and enjoyed painting and playing piano. Jonathan was equally admirable, described by his family as honest and dependable. The trip was meant to be their pre-wedding honeymoon, but it turned into a tragic journey. 14 years later, their bodies might still be somewhere on the snowy peaks of Mount Mathia. Despite this, their families continued to post reward notices on social media, hoping for any useful leads. Many tell me to stop searching, but I cannot give up looking for my son, Jonathan's father said. I want him to come home, just like a soldier who died abroad. Parents always wish for their loved one's return, even if only their remains. After the disappearance of Jonathan and Rachel, Mount Mattel seemed to acquire a darker reputation with each passing year. What had once been a scenic destination for hikers and climbers slowly transformed into a place whispered about in uneasy tones. Tourists spoke of strange, unexplainable sounds drifting through the forest at night, low, rhythmic whistles that seemed to echo from tree to tree, as though someone were calling out in a code only the mountain understood. Others described the unnerving sensation of being followed, hearing the crunch of heavy footsteps right behind them, only to whirl around and find nothing but the empty trail. Several climbers went further, claiming they had glimpsed vague silhouettes in the mist, figures far taller than any ordinary person, standing motionless among the pines before dissolving back into the fog. These accounts, though dismissed by some as tricks of the light or exhaustion, only deepened the mountain's ominous aura. It wasn't long before locals gave the place a name, the Shadow Trail. The old-timers in town were quick to remind people that Jonathan and Rachel's case was not the first tragedy tied to the mountain. In the 1970s, a group of hunters had vanished in almost the same spot. Their rifles, clothing, and supplies were discovered days later, arranged in a disturbingly neat pile, as if someone had carefully gathered and displayed them. But of the hunters themselves, no trace was ever found. The parallels were impossible to ignore. Two separate disappearances, decades apart, yet bound together by the same strange details. And as stories spread, a chilling belief began to take root among the locals. Mount Mattel was not just a mountain, it was a place that watched, and sometimes it chose who would not return. Paranormal researchers have noted that British Columbia is considered one of the world's hotspots for Bigfoot encounters. According to statistics, this region accounts for almost 30% of all reported reports of mysterious humanoid creatures in Canada. Perhaps that is why the story of the couple in love so deeply hooked the public. It seemed to confirm the old legends. There is another hypothesis, the phenomenon of the silent mountains. According to some anthropologists, sound illusions and visual deceptions can occur in remote areas with a special microclimate. In dense fog, a person easily loses their bearings, and the brain is able to interpret the sounds of wind or rock falls as voices or footsteps. However, this version does not explain either the disappearance of two experienced tourists or the strange recordings on their camera. Sometimes, analyzing such stories, I think, perhaps the answer is not in Bigfoot at all. Maybe there is something else in these places, a force or phenomenon that cannot yet be explained. After all, we know less about the planet than we do about space. Forests, mountains, and caves still hold secrets that man has barely touched.